Hey everyone, Percy Jules here. Now today I just wanted to talk a little bit about macros in Reaper. So what are macros, how do you set them up, and how do you use them? Now let's start with a little example. So let's say that you want to record something, but before you want to record, there are a few things that you would like to do first. So for instance, let's say that you would like to enable the metronome before starting the recording. And also you want to arm the track or tracks that you want to record on. Might be very wise, otherwise you won't hear anything. And there also might be some other things that you want to do before the actual recording starts. Now, one way of doing this would be to go over all these things one by one and performing all these actions, as they are called in Reaper, manually. So for instance, enabling the metronome, that's just a push of a button. Arming the track, that's another push of a button. Okay, so that would be one way of going about doing this. Now, what is a macro? A macro is a set of actions that are executed in a particular sequence, activated by just a push of a button or a short key. So instead of going over all of these things one by one manually, you could just push one button and the entire sequence of actions will be performed for you automatically. Okay, now in this case I've just showed you two actions, but as you can imagine, a macro could consist out of many more actions, and in that case, that's when a macro can come in very, very handy. So that is a macro, or as it's also called in Reaper, a custom action. Okay, so how do you set up a macro? Well, first thing to do would be to open the action list. All right, so let's go up here to Actions and Show Action List. All right, now this is a list of all possible actions in Reaper. So enabling the metronome, that is an action. Arming a track, that is an action. Showing the mixer area, that is an action. Everything is here. All right. Now, how do you create a macro, or again, as it's called in Reaper, a custom action? Well, let's go down here to where it says Custom Actions, and let's click New. Now, this window will open up, and on the left, you can also see here all possible actions in Reaper. So that's the same list as before, only now you can select any of these actions and drag them over to the right, and thereby making them part of the custom action in question. All right, now let's go back to the example we were talking about. So first thing to do would be to enable the metronome. All right, now let's search for metronome, and this is the action I'm talking about. So let's drag this over to the right, and now it is part of this custom action. Next thing is we want to arm the track. So I know it is called something like record arm something, and this is it. So toggle record arm for selected tracks. All right, let's add that. And what we also want to do is, I also want Reaper to then start recording. So let's search for record. And I know it is down here, and this is it. All right, let's add that. And this looks good to me. By the way, if you would need to, you can very easily change the order of the actions by just dragging up or down. Again, to me, this looks okay, so I'm going to leave it like this. Next thing is naming the custom action. You do that up here, and I'm going to call it test macro 1. Why not? Okay, when we click OK, we will be taken to the actions list again, and the custom action is right here. Next thing to do, which I would very strongly recommend, is to assign a shortcut to this action. So to do that, let's go down here and click Add, and then choose any combination of keys. So I believe that Shift H is still available for me, and let's click OK, and yes, it is. So as you can see, Shift H was available, and it is now add it as the short key for this particular custom action. So that is how you create a macro or a custom action in Reaper. And now for the easiest part of this video, how do you use a custom action? Well, in this case, the first thing we would have to do is select the tracks we want to record on. And next is just a matter of using the short key we've just assigned to the custom action we've just created. And as you might remember, it is Shift H. Now, if I use Shift H, you should be able to hear the metronome go, even though at this moment it is still disabled. The track should be armed and the recording should start. Let's see what happens. Et voila. And as you can see, the metronome has been enabled, the track has been armed, and the recording started. Now, this of course is a very simple example. As you can imagine, the possibilities are infinite. And macros, custom actions, they can just make life a little bit easier. Alright? So that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.